Hi, my name is Pablo and I will be showing you a role-playing survival game I've been working on called Cognition. Remember, this is a tech demo and it's not about graphics. So, weather is very important in this game, so I wanted to make a whole video just showing you how the weather simulation works. I decided to go simulation because of how important it is for survival mechanics. So, as you know, I will be fast forwarding this so you don't have to watch the entire thing because a cycle takes a long while in game time. But as you know, water from a big water source like a sea gets heat, and therefore water is evaporated, and then it forms clouds, and then it rains. I'll explain you sort of how that works on this simulation. So water indeed is host on the sea. That's an object programming wise, and it's receiving heat from the sun, which is yet another object. And also with the help of a little air temperature, the more strong the sun is, you remember clouds can block the sun and so on, the more water particles are going to be vaporized and put into the air object, which again is another programming object. And this air object, it will, according to the air temperature, raise these particles faster or slower, and of course will absorb these particles as well to gain humidity, and that is how the ambient gets humidity out of these water particles being vaporized. Then of course air can sort of push away some of these particles away, and you will lose some of them, but eventually some will make it to the very top, and they will be crystallized and put into the sky object. The sky object holds all these crystallized water particles and forming clouds, which you can already see as a shadow on the surface, and they're moving. And by the way, the wind speed for the particles and the clouds and the intensity of the shades and all, this is all tied in to the simulation layer. This is not random. So I want the weather to be an actual painter, an actual dictator of how it looks, and not just make it random because it may or may not look pretty. Now, according to the temperature and the updraft and downdraft of the clouds, that is all programmed. It will require more or less water in the sky, if you may, to make it start raining. This is all, again, simulated. Now let's talk quickly about the wind. How does it happen? Well, wind is caused by differences in atmospheric pressure, and that is also simulated using temperature and other parameters. I don't have other areas to do this with, so I have to sort of do my own hard coding to make it happen, because again, atmospheric pressure differences is caused between different areas, and I only have one area that I'm working on, which is the island. So because of that, there's some extra scriptum for it. Nevertheless, now it's all this is done so you can have a more predictable behavior of how things work, right? You can see things happening. If it gets too cold outside, which will happen shortly, because you know it's getting dark, and you know during night there's no heat source which the sun provides. You will have to find, as a player, somewhere to spend the night at. And actually right now it's like 2 degrees Celsius, 1 degree Celsius. By the way, ice is made at 0 degrees Celsius, so you go ahead and transform that into Fahrenheit. Thank you. Now you can see it's starting to rain. The weather has decided that this is the moment to make that happen. So you can see even that is simulated. There's no hard-coded trigger for it. And again, as a player, you have to make sure you don't spend much time in the cold, or you get the sickness buff or debuff, if you may, which makes it really hard to get into fights. And this is tightly integrated with survival. If you can't fight to keep going further, you will die. So it's really important to stay healthy. That is why you shouldn't explore while being sick. And of course, being out in the cold makes you sick. Right now it's -1 degree Celsius, but you can see, well, you can't see, but trust me, There's almost no rain anymore in the clouds, and it should stop raining really soon. And yeah, now the sky is clear, and there you go. And a whole new circle will start running. That is what's so amazing about this, because this is all happening. This is not hard-coded, and I think that's really important in a game, that you can believe in its world, and that's what I want to accomplish. I want to create a world you can believe in. By the way, I am in debug mode, so I can actually talk to plants and see how they're growing, because I need all this to make sure simulation is working well. So I need to make sure that in the end it's useful for the player, and they're not just weird parameters that don't make sense and they're hard to play with. But we will talk about how plants are grown in a different video. I'll quickly tell you they need photons from a light source, which can be sun, and currently it is that way. And of course, water from a source which is the soil, and it has just rained, so the soil object now has tons of water for all the plants, so they should be fine, they should be able to grow. They do take in more water during the night because there are no light to perform photosynthesis, and when they do have light, they try to use the time to do photosynthesis instead of trying to get water. So it's sort of like they're sort of smart, if you may, even with little programming. But again, we will go over plant simulation, if you may, another time. But yes, indeed, this is a lot mixed with simulation, because I love simulation games. And yes, again, you can see clouds starting to form again to start a whole new cycle of weather. That is all. Thank you really much for watching, and if you are interested in finding out more about this game, please do subscribe. On the next videos we will see a little bit of storytelling. I got really cool techniques to tell the story. They're not really that usual, so I think you'll be really interested. And of course, battle mechanics, and of course, level design. I have a bunch to show you, and I think they're all pretty exciting. I'm really glad I'm doing this, and hopefully you can join me in this adventure of making this game. That is all. Again, I don't want to say do subscribe, but yeah, do subscribe. And I'll see you next time.